Mbomira watema vayambuke. Zvakaoma guys. How do we go about it anyway? Rajiti manera akanaka. Tamanera akanaka, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I'm not going to take a lot of time. Really say to me atitemas zvirikufamba. Hey, masters, mkuma yuda. Utendai mashonga zviri sei chari zvirikufamba. Soko mwene wazvo makadini. Atete soneni. Zvirikufamba. It was good to see you. Hey, zvirikudini atete soneni makadini. Makadi mazimba. Hanzi nasi mkoma makachangamuka. Yes. Tezazva zvadizvi. Right. Murise. Anthony Munya chafa zvirikufamba ere. Zvirikudini. Brother Yuda mkoma shepi. Ndakasimba Tom. How are you? Mishek. Majumani. Zvirikudini. Felix. Rwatinyanya. Makadini. Welcome. 𝗨𝗡𝗚 𝗨𝗡. Admire chivandiri chivandi zviri sei. George ndomeni varidzi vazvo makadini. Finisa zviri sei. Ndakasimba kuti Deft Nyamuronda Pride tavazva 𝗨𝗏𝗚𝗚. Ai pindai Tease Tembo zviri kufamba makadini. Anthony amunyaradzi chafa mushe makadini. Ndakasimba mkoma 𝗨𝗏𝗏𝗆 zviri sei. Mkoma Difa ndakasimba. Uyai 54 people. And so I'm not going to take an hour. I'm just going to, it's 8:30, and then I'll finish at 9:30, just an hour. I need to talk about the United Nations General Assembly. I really understand that Mnangagwa is set to attend the United Nations General Assembly in New York, right? And it has made headlines because of the people of Zimbabwe. And we fear Foko Mpana. Atakuti Mpana is now an honorable member of parliament. Ndakabotaura nemwe friend yangu, so ndikati kana wa member of parliament zvasiyana nepovu. You are no longer povu. Edi ndebele zviri sei. Zvasiyana nepovu. Kana wa member of parliament, you are part and the parcel of the people who are going to make laws for the country. As we all understand that ZANU-PF did not garner a 2/3 majority in parliament, things are tough for ZANU-PF in parliament. Remember, MDCT got about 63 seats last time, but 𝗏𝗏𝗚 passed that figure, despite going into this election under difficult circumstances. We last saw these circumstances which we witnessed this year in August, in June or July 2008. This is when we last saw the circumstances. We saw our elections being held in Zimbabwe in 2023. This is 21st century where we don't expect such barbaric actions from ZANU-PF to dominate our elections. Unfortunately, we've got a political party in our country that utilizes or uses a lot of propaganda when it comes to the issues of governing. Because when they try to talk about something, they lie. The ZANU-PF, when they talk of something, they make the lie big. That's the problem we have in our country. Then they make it simple. Then they keep saying the same lie. When they keep saying the same lie, it eventually they'll believe their lies. this is what we have currently in Zimbabwe. 𝗓𝗏𝗹 ripachipamwe vachishande rudi zvirudini. We have got a political party that create a lie. When they create a lie, they make the lie big. When they make the lie big, they make it look simple. And then they keep saying the same lie, and eventually they try to believe their lie. Fortunately, we are in a 21st digital era where I've made a lot of presentations opening people's mind, opening people's eyes, that the propaganda does not deceive people. It merely helps them to deceive themselves. If you look at ZANU-PF propaganda, it doesn't deceive us anymore. It merely deceives those who are in ZANU-PF and who believe in such hogwash. So, what I'm saying is, we have been more careful when approaching ZANU-PF politics. We have been very careful, and I encourage the people of Zimbabwe that let's remain calm. Let's be very careful. ZANU-PF is using its social media stores to try and infuriate an uprising in our country, to try and force you into action. A lot of people have succumbed to that propaganda, to say, look, Chamisa is not doing anything, Chamisa this and that. Little known that the people pushing you, they've got a sinister agenda. They want to see you being killed. They want to see a serious uprising in our country. They know civilians are not armed, and the youth militias and those pro-ZANU-PF people would be as mice both white is Yuda. Zim politics is a shame, definitely. Yes, and better life. Thank you so much. So, what they are trying to do, if you are not careful, ladies and gentlemen, ZANU-PF, its newspaper, its social media trolls will have you hating the people, you hating the people who are being oppressed. I've heard a lot of talk about Chamisa not doing this, Chamisa not doing that. And you end up loving people who are doing that oppression. This is the purpose of propaganda, ladies and gentlemen. That if you don't be careful at this juncture, considering that ZANU-PF is trying hard to snatch a 2/3 majority, change the constitution of your country, and allow Mnangagwa a third brutal term, because they still believe that they won this election. This is why I've said ZANU-PF had made a lie. They'd made a big lie that they won the elections. They try to make it simple. Hey, we've won. Hey, even if you go on former Twitter, you read what 𝗨𝗏𝗃 are posting. They take things simple. They don't know how people of Zimbabwe are feeling at this juncture. They take those things simple, and they keep saying it. You understand? They keep saying it to the extent that within their circles, they now believe that Mnangagwa did not steal an election. And even if you listen to Mnangagwa, he keeps on saying that hogwash. The problem that 𝗨𝗏𝗃 do not know is Mnangagwa is always drunk. He keeps himself drunk. He is never sober. So whatever you take, whatever he says, don't take that seriously. He's just a joker. Someone who does not know how serious Zimbabweans are considering the way forward in their lives. Because what we are talking about is the current issues that are affecting Zimbabwe. And those current issues, the government must be able to solve. I'm saddened, ladies and gentlemen, just to find that a minister is saying, okay, fine, after elections, those graduates must employ themselves. You understand? So such type of shortfalls or misfiring by ZANU-PF, you wonder why when they go into an election, they tell Zimbabweans to say you don't know how to read and write. As I support on you on that Mkoma, the guy is never sober. He is never sober. So don't take him seriously, because we are talking about life and death. We are talking about the lives of people, Zimbabweans. Right now, there is a video circulating of a war veteran who was crying that we always take our pensions per NASA house. Today, they were given 30,000 RTGS, and those 30,000 RTGS is just $3, $3 US. $1 is going at 10,000. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, when I say don't take Mnangagwa seriously, remember when he came to power, he appointed 𝗚𝗏𝗚𝗚𝗏 as the finance minister. 𝗚𝗏𝗚𝗏𝗏 went on to print papers. I warned you. I did a live on that to say, guys, there is no way you can put value on your RTGS to say it is 1:1 with the American dollars when you don't have anything that sustain your currency. You don't have currency. Honestly, you cannot create rubbish or print papers and say, look, this paper that I'm holding is equivalent to $1 US. You have seen you have seen Russia trying to influence the destruction of US dollar, trying to introduce whatever they call BRICS, but unfortunately that won't match the US dollar. Anzi kunyange mu Bible politics zirimo zakati kada kuita soft as who tosvika 2030. No problem yacho. Saka what I'm saying is, don't be lured by Varakash. Those people are paid to write whatever they write. They are paid to say whatever they are said. You are not paid. I am not paid. No one pays me. But I dedicate my time to come and try to open your eyes, guys, for you to see. Don't be lured by those people. Remember, last time they were saying, they want to close the border. 18th. Today is 18th of September. Did you see any people at the border post in 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗏? This is Varakashi trying. When we want that to happen, the first place you will see being advertised is Shepherd Yuda's platform. If you don't hear anything about shutting down 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗏 border post, this and that on this platform, then forget, ladies and gentlemen, forget about that. When things are happening in Zimbabwe, I quickly get the phone calls, I quickly research on what we need to do. And 𝗭𝗏𝗚𝗏𝗹, yes, just $3, because $1 is equivalent to 10,000 RTGS. And I saw a post saying 7 October. If it is 7 October, let's wait. Wait for me. When I get the wins that this is going to happen, then I'll come to you and say this is going to happen. The Waragash were saying on the 18th of September, meaning today, that was a lie. So I need to warn Zimbabweans that don't participate in things that are not coordinated by your leaders. If these things are not coordinated by your leaders, if you participate, get hurt, get killed, and so forth. You know, we don't do things to be remembered anyway, but we put risk on our lives on the things that matter, which have got leadership in it. You understand? So if you just throw your life because you are angry about whatever happened before or during election and after election, without being led, you know, remember what transpired during the Arab Spring. What caused the Arab Spring? It was just one man in Tunisia who went and set himself alight in front of the army to say, okay, shoot me, I am dying. Then he set himself alight. That guy led to the uprising in the Arab state. That uprising, if I tell you guys, you won't like it. It is so Mubarak going, that Egyptian dictator. It is so Gaddafi going. It is so a lot of these dictators going. It is so in Sudan, some changes in Sudan. So when time comes for change, you will see it. You will see that this is time for change. Don't be pushed by these people with an agenda. If you read, I was reading something which they were talking about in IBT, they were talking about, guys, Panapa, ZANU-PF has reached the end of its teeth. Even Varakash, they are now useless. They've reached the end of their tether. They cannot create propaganda anymore that sustain their lies. They've been lying and lying and lying and lying. And Saka, what I'm saying is, they've made their lies, they've made these lies big, they've made them look simple, and they kept saying the same lies, the same things to you, and eventually they will believe. 𝗨𝗏𝗚𝗆 believe their lies. But luckily or fortunately, we have got social media that we warn you guys. We come live on Facebook on daily basis when time allows us, and I've noted it that let's be very, very careful. Let's be very careful. 𝗨𝗏𝗚𝗆 and their newspapers, 𝗨𝗏𝗚𝗆, they will make you guys hate the people who are being oppressed. Because right now, already, they are infuriating hate against President Chamisa. Hey, Chamisa is not doing anything. President Chamisa has done a lot. He has done a lot, ladies and gentlemen. What they are waiting for, 𝗨𝗏𝗚𝗆, is for him to make one slight error of saying something, then they pound on him. At the moment, we don't want our leader to be arrested. At the moment, we don't want our leader to be killed. We want leadership. Because once he's arrested, they will be creating a vacuum that you won't be able to feel. Because Chamisa wasungwa, Chamisa arugugu, ansaga aenda ere munangagwa kuunga. I am sure he has flown to United Nations General Assembly. Because if you look at that General Assembly, remember, there are only 5 countries with a permanent seat in the United Nations security organ. There are only 5 countries. That means America. I'm not sure. Let me try to name them. America is one of them. Britain or in UK is one of the countries. And then Russia is one of the countries. Then France is one of the countries. I'm not sure about the 5th one, which forms the permanent seats in the Security Council of the United Nations. Because when they go there, they are going to discuss a lot of things. The United Nations General Assembly, UN is there to maintain international peace. To maintain international peace and security. And to that end, to take effective collective measures for the prevention and removal of threats of the peace. Remember, this is the main mission of the United Nations. So, when they do that, they make sure that aggressors are dealt with. Acts of aggression are dealt with. And they want to ensure their member states. Remember, it has got 193 members. United Nations has got 193 members. Out of that 193, there is a security organ that has got 5 countries with a permanent seat, including Putin enjoys a permanent seat in that council, including Sunak enjoys that one. Macron in France enjoys that one. America, Biden enjoys that one. I'm not sure about the 5th one. If anyone knows about the 5th country that enjoys permanent seats in the United Nations. So this one, Mnangagwa might be attending. There is nothing new here. I've always told you that in 2008, we had a free and fair election in March. And that election led to ZANU-PF loss. And they refused to hand over power to the winner. And Mnangagwa, China, yes, thank you, 𝗚𝗏𝗚𝗆. Yeah, I don't Jin, what, I can't spell that one, the Chinese. So, China, France, Russia, UK, and America. These are 5 countries that enjoy permanent seats in the United Nations, in the Security Council of the UN. These are 5. So, out of these 5, Macron is not attending. Macron, the French president, is not coming to Unga. China has said they are not going to Unga. Putin, obviously, won't go because he is under a warrant of arrest. So Putin won't go to America, to New York. Putin won't go. Then Sunak, I don't know why Sunak is not going. Otherwise, Sunak, yes, got elections next year. And the Sunak is likely to lead to a landslide loss. There is a landslide victory, but the UK Prime Minister is heading for a landslide loss against the Labour government. So yes, China is the 5th. Thank you so much. So it's the United Kingdom, America, China, Russia, and France. These are 5 countries with the permanent seat in the Security Council of the United Nations. They are expected to be there. These guys were so 4 out of 5 are not attending. So I'm yet to see Mnangagwa, whether Mnangagwa is attending, because he is a puppet of the East. The East controls Mnangagwa. So we don't know whether his boss, Putin, is not attending. Remember, he went to Russia and said he supports the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, which was the greatest error, ladies and gentlemen. If you are a president of a country, be diplomatic. Be diplomatic in international issues. Because at the end, we are not as strong as Russia. We can't defend ourselves. Zimbabwe is very weak. It is a collapsed country with a collapsed economy, with a collapsed army. Zimbabwe, Masoja, Ariko, our army cannot afford to feed Masoja. I am saying this from experience. I am not saying this from the blues. I have been there. I've interacted with the soldiers. Tayenda kuno marcha has no invitation. Mnangagwa has not been invited. So this is what someone is saying. There is no invitation for Mnangagwa, which means he cannot attend Unga. I've been there. We used to go to do, you know, when we go for independence parade, we combine uniformed forces in Zimbabwe. First detachment will be formed by the Zimbabwe National Army. Second detachment will be formed by the Air Force of Zimbabwe. Third detachment will be formed by Zimbabwe Republic Police. And the fourth detachment will be formed by Zimbabwe Prison Services, which is now called Zimbabwe Prison and Correctional Services. So these 4 uniformed force members, they combine to celebrate independence. We go and march there. So when you go and march, we go to 𝗵𝗲 State Barracks in DZ. This is where we do all our drills. So we are fed there by the army. If I tell you that we used to eat beans without salt, without mafuta, without domasi, ngotora nyemba beans ziya kungoboilisa nemvura, uchisirwa soup, uchisirwa kuti udye, so inenge iri mvura chete uchidya sadza nemvura. Kana sadza racho kazhinji rataidya paipai ranga riri mbodza raibikwa nemasoja riya. Saka you find that we have got an ill-equipped army, we've got an ill-treated army, an underpaid army, especially in the SADC region. I'm not sure why can SADC gazette the salaries of the soldiers to say if you a soldier in SADC, if you are a soldier in any SADC country, your first salary must be so much. If you rise in rank, if you're a sergeant in South Africa in the army, a sergeant in Zimbabwe in the army, a sergeant in Zambia, a sergeant in Tanzania, they must earn the same salary. I think this must be gazetted by the SADC to say, look, if President Chamisa had won, I would have even influenced that to say United Nations, sorry, SADC region, they must ensure that a soldier, if you are a private, no matter you work in Namibia, no matter you work in Mozambique, your salary must be the same. To say even if you are earning 1,800 US a month, you should earn it across SADC countries. A sergeant across SADC countries must earn the same salary. Every soldier, every prison officer, every soldier, every prison officer, every policeman must earn the same salary. When you are a sergeant in the police, a sergeant in the army, a sergeant in the prison services, your salary must be the same. If it means you've got an allowance of being a senior sergeant in the army, but some sergeants are promoted today, you don't expect them to earn the same salary with a sergeant who has been a sergeant for 10 years. You understand? So there must be seniority as well to say, look, if you serve for 10 years or 5 years, once you hold the rank of a sergeant, your money, your salary will be upped by so much. You understand? That would encourage people to join the forces. So what I'm saying is, we have got probably the least paid army in our country. Today in the Mshonga, Shikadakuruma ndofiritira pana vosi pakuruma pane munhu akandibvunza dindawo kwenya ndikurumwa nemosquito pasavo ndikurumwa nemosquito. So you see that there is a non-attendance of Chinese president anonzi Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. These guys, they haven't attended UN General Assembly for quite some time, and Sunak is not going there again. Macron is not going there again. So it means out of the 5 people with the permanent seats in the United Nations Security Council, 4 of them are not attending, as the United Nations General Assembly gears up for its annual gathering in New York. They are going to gather in New York. So the notable absence of several global heavyweights is casting a shadow over the event. Sorry guys, pano vanhu vaibvunza nezuro ndichirumwa saka nhasi ndine mushonga ndikuti ndichifiritira mbichana because pari kuruma mosquito yacho iri pasi apa iri kuruma zvakaipa. Saka maona nezuro ndaingokwenya ndagara panapa ndairumwa zvakaipa ndichikwenya because pane mosquito iri serious. So I'm not sure about this event that is going to be held in China. So each leader of the 5 or the big 5, each leader has got his own reason why they are not attending. Another India's president as well, Narendra Modi, as well, is reported not to be going to that summit. So they've got their own reasons of not attending, and if you look at their non-attendance, I don't know what effect their non-attendance has to the United Nations. Right, I was talking about 2008. After that, we went into a very disorganized runoff on the 27th of July, June or July 2008, where Ramaphosa is going, I'm not sure, where Mugabe quickly declared himself a winner. After he declared himself a winner, he inaugurated himself usiku, like what Mnangagwa did. And that day, he flew to Rome for a food summit. Remember, inini zvangu, nandakatobata Mugabe, nandakambata kuti when Mugabe went there, all world leaders told him, you are a shame, Mugabe. You claim to have won elections, but there is a prison officer, one of your prison officers, has released a video showing you rigging elections. And the world leader said you are not a recognized Zimbabwe president. I think they tried to push him around. They like isolated him in Rome. When he came back from Rome, before he came back, he issued an order that, look, that 𝗨𝗏𝗚 must be sick and must be found. Bring to me dead or alive. As Ramaphosa has gone already. Bring 𝗨𝗏𝗚 dead or alive. Pakuruma, guys. So that video in 2008, probably the first and last video of that nature, which I produced in 2008. It led Mugabe being isolated in Rome, as a person who had rigged elections, and the world leaders never recognized him. I think they had closed door meetings where they eventually told Mugabe to say, go and negotiate with the opposition and try to come to terms if you want legitimacy. So the same scenario is what we have today. Mnangagwa has declared himself a winner, although he lost that election. He has said a lot of hogwash about that, and he is preparing probably to fly to Russia, to fly to New York. Remember, the sanctions are not yet removed. He is under sanctions, and probably those sanctions will be intensified. I know world leaders, those who are attending this summit or meeting, they will try to hold closed door negotiations with Mnangagwa for him to see a reality that, look, you are not a legitimate leader of Zimbabwe and you are not recognized. Because those elections, the UN itself, the SADC region, the Carter Center, all election observer mission, they declared them a non-event, flawed election, null and void, that cannot produce a president. So Zimbabwe, remember, Zimbabwe joined the United Nations in 1980. It joins the United Nations in 1980 after independence. This is when Zimbabwe joined the United Nations. By now, they should be well versed of what the United Nations want. And when they attend such meetings, they must know what are the type of deliberations in those meetings. So the top 5 countries with permanent seats in the UNGA are not going. Mnangagwa's boss is not going. His handler, Putin, is not going. So the timing of UNGA, the problem with the UK and France, the timing of this UNGA, recently they had a G20 summit in India where Macron attended that G summit. So he will have done a lot of foreign policies to. So there is a question of balance in time for Macron to come from India, fly all the way to America for UNGA. So we don't know how this is gonna work. The minister in France highlighted that the UNGA often serves as a platform for leaders to deliver significant speeches. This is, I heard Ramaphosa is gonna be a speaker here, or Mnangagwa, because world leaders, all of them, I think out of 193 people, they must be given a chance to deliver a speech, or else they select certain leaders from the world to deliver a speech. But this is a platform for leaders to deliver significant speeches that we have even read in newspapers, but with no major overhaul of French foreign policy this year. Macron's presence may not be deemed imperative. So Macron is not going. This intriguing turn of events prompts questions about the tone and significance of this year's UNGA. Will the absence of these leaders result in a quieter and less eventful assembly? No, Ipapo. With the President Joe Biden presence and his anticipated speech, the spotlight may shine even brighter on the United States. So I'm not sure if Mnangagwa is going. If he is going, he must expect fireworks there, because the Russians are not there. The Chinese are not there. These are his handlers. The West is not there. UK and France are not there. So there's only America there. And you know, Americans, they don't like ZANU-PF. They might even lock him out. I've seen one of the idiots in the name of Jones Msara there already at the venue, was saying nonsense, but unfortunately, he must exercise caution. He must exercise caution. I am telling you, once the Zimbabweans, when Mnangagwa decide to go, and the Zimbabweans decide to go and demonstrate there, obviously he will be in danger. There are risks that he might trigger violence and he might end up being in police custody And once he is arrested and being in police custody, they might decide to deport him back to Zimbabwe. So let's wait and see that Mnangagwa is aware that his handlers, some of his prominent handlers are not going there. They might have skipped this meeting on diplomatic agendas or on priorities, or they might have scheduled this, or they are sending my ministers as they usually do. We might send our representatives. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I have mentioned, that the purpose of United Nations itself, this UNGA, is to try and make peace. The UNGA's purpose is to try and make peace. As we all know, that the United Nations, the headquarters is in New York City. This is where they are going. This is the headquarters of United Nations. It is in the New York City. This organization, remember last time I was talking about the League of Nations, the fall of the League of Nations. Historically, the fall of the League of Nations gave birth to this United Nations we see today in 1945. So it is currently made of 193 members, including Zimbabwe. Can we call it Zimbabwe or ZANU-PF? I'm not sure. Because what is representative there in UNGA, it's not about the people of Zimbabwe. It's about a political party known as ZANU-PF. So the mission and work of the United Nations are guided by the purpose and the principles contained in their founding charter. And due to powers vested in its charter and its unique international character, the United Nations can take action on the issues confronting humanity. This is why I wanted ZANU-PF people to be here, Wanachina Masa to be here, so that they understand the purpose of United Nations. They understand when we have got issues in our country about elections. It's all about United Nations now, that they confront issues of humanity, especially in this 21st century, such as peace and security. They want climate of change in every country. They want sustainable development in every country. They want all human rights respected. They want disarmament in countries with conflicts. They want to stop terrorism in countries where conflict is. They want to see humanitarian and health emergencies, gender equality, governance, and food production. Quite a lot of things that this UNGA is involved or will discuss. So United Nations also provides a forum for its members to express their views in General Assembly. The Security Council, the Economic and Social Council, and other bodies and committees, by enabling dialogue between its members and hosting negotiations. The organization has become a mechanism for governments to find areas of agreement and solve problems together. So this is the purpose of this United Nations. And use extremely doom for mosquitoes. I'm not sure what is this. You know the raid. You know Raya foot mosquitoes raid. But that's what guys. Parkuruma pasam. Saka nezuro ndaingo kwenya nasi ndrugo kwenya. Chaichaga inonzichi doomed. Use extremely doom for mosquitoes. The guy in the nyore pass. But extremely doom. Extremely doom for mosquitoes. Taruma goreno. Ametuka saita malaria. So you understand what this organization stands for. So the United Nations Chief Administrator is the Secretary General at the moment. Antonio Guterres is the Chief Administrator, who is the Secretary General of this organization. When it started in 1945, it had only 51 members, and it has grown to 193 members. Zimbabwe joined in 1980 with other countries like Grenadines and St. Vincent. So these are like the countries. Some other countries joined later, like South Sudan, it joined later. You should close the windows. I don't think I've got opened windows. No, all the windows are closed. And so that is it, government. So the Charter of the United Nations, it was signed on 26 June 1945 in San Francisco at the conclusion of United Nations Conference on International Organization. It came into force on the 24th of October 1945. Saga, the statute for the International Court of Justice is an integral part of this charter. Demonstration ndiyo yega inogona kusheka ZANU-PF zvana SADC izvikumirira chitima pa-airport. Yeah, the problem iripo mkoma honest ndiye kuti if you start noise, if you start demonstrations now, imimi makaisa nyaya kuma internal organ, kuma international organizations akaita sana UN nana SADC iwaya munenge maakushora ma-organizations iwaya andiri muranya dzatutaura ma-demonstrations haana chaanobatsira, they don't change anything. We have done demonstrations, mukoma honest. We have done demonstrations. Muchiruza demonstration ya 1998 namdara tsvangirai pataibata masoja munana mabvuku masoja ainzi hep achikandwa maswage. Hapana demonstration yatisina kuita kuZimbabwe isusu. They think UN, AU, this is ZANU-PF people. Be very careful there. Because hapana demonstration yatisina kuisa. Ndosaka mana ndiri kutaura kuti as long tinema leaders isusu. We've got people who are leading us. Why can't we wait for leadership to decide on certain action to do? Because I'm telling you, ZANU-PF is full away and it knows. Once President Chamisa open his mouth and say on Western Dam Road, the whole of Zimbabwe, you find it in street. You find it in street. And you know, kwete za 2018 zvokuti vanhu vakanga uzoti Chamisa uraisa vanhu. Chamisa ubvunzwa akataura kuti no. There were stupid ZANU-PF people who led our people into believing that we are going to demonstrate. Sata decision. My elections, my results are announced. One wanga watu emurodi. Watu tatanga ukanda matombo. Wanu watu tatanga upwanya mashop. Akusira tu wanu 𝗨𝗚𝗚 kanu MDC wai. No, wanga wasira wanu MDC. Wanu MDC they were hoodwinked by group re ZANU-PF rangara iswa memu. Wangwenda pamberi wakanupwanya mashop wakata say wachibva vatiza. When the soldiers came, they started shooting at our people. And the culprits had already fled. They were paid to do that. And I am no stars in Ripper drum. I didn't want. They were paid to do that. And what were the results? Our members were shot. Innocent civilians were shot and killed by the army. And what did the United Nations do? Nothing. What did the SADC do about it? Nothing. And so can we repeat the same error? Because if demonstration is the only strategy that we have, so we don't have a strategy. When fear after the shooting, yes. So what I'm saying, if people still believe in demonstrations as a way of change in our country, then we don't have a strategy. Because already we have taken a new route of a diplomatic offensive against ZANU-PF. Wherever we are going, we are armed with the report of the SADC. We are armed with the report of the election observers. That what we were saying, the elections were flawed. And we did not say it, Isuzu, but we were saying it time and again in every election, that our electoral system is flawed. Our ZEC is not following the constitution. Our ZEC is not following our electoral laws. But we cannot stop to go into elections. Let's go in there. Then let's get armed with the facts. So when we approach an organization, we are holding facts. If we say enough is enough, let's take up arms against ZANU-PF. We have got the facts. We have got the justification now to say, look, election, we have tried everything. We have gone international diplomatic. We have launched a diplomatic offensive internationally. We have spoken to the United Nations. We have spoken to SADC. We have spoken to AU. We have contested these elections time and again, still under the same flawed conditions. We are trying to tell ZANU-PF, let's reform. ZANU-PF refused. So now we have got justification. I'm worried about 𝗨𝗡𝗚 MPs. Yes, this I've spoken about it, that ZANU-PF is trying to get a 2/3 majority, try to convict those youngsters, and then call for by-elections and do a lot of violence to snatch those seats so that they can change the constitution. Currently, ZANU-PF does not enjoy the majority in parliament. It has got no 2/3 of the parliament. Do you know how many members of parliament ZANU-PF should have? 2/3 of 210. That's 70. 70 times 2, 140. So ZANU-PF, for it to have 2/3 of the parliament, it needs 140 seats. 140 seats. So 311 over 213. So I think they failed to reach a 2/3 majority by about 3 seats or so. You see, so they are trying to fight for this, to snatch these 3 seats from 𝗨𝗚𝗚 so that they can have a 2/3 majority and change our parliament, change our constitution to whatever they think. Because right now, they don't have 2/3 majority in parliament. Saka tichitaura tichiti vanhu ngatimbonzwisisai zviri kudiwa neZANU-PF. A lot of people vari kuda ku Mai Natali, thank you so much. You know 𝗨𝗏𝗚𝗏 kuti ezvinezvi zvikangosungwa chete vanenge vachikubaya zvimajekiseni zvatakabayiwa zve. You don't even know what is it for. Vanotanga kukiya kubaya zvimishonga zvavo zvezvi. Vana Patson vakarova pasi kuseka. Arthur mbala wangu Arthur maskini hanzi ndimhoresei kana urisei kumpaname Arthur ndimhoresere mai maskini tainzi moms murisei. Don't mosquito yekuno haina malaria shingirira mupedzi. Ndaanzwa panapa ndiri kurumwa kana ndatombotraya kufirita but zviri kuramba. Saka muri kuona the people of the United Nations, they are determined, ladies and gentlemen, to save succeeding generation from the scourge of war, which twice in our lifetime has brought untold sorrow to mankind. What they need to do is to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person, in the equal rights of men and women in the nations at large and small. To establish conditions under which justice and respect for the obligation arising from treaties and other sources of international law can be maintained. With that report SADC cannot tabled before United Nations, because what they want is to promote social progress and the better standards of life in larger freedoms. Saka, this means a lot to the people of Zimbabwe. 𝗭𝗏𝗚𝗏𝗶 this a batch. Sorry guys, ndikuisa batch makumbo. Ndaanzwa nekurumwa. Mosquito yacho haina tsitsi. Ndofunga ndinonaka. Ndikudliwa pana varoi. Please, musati zvari kudliwa nemosquito muda kudlawo ini. Nyama yangu inovava hainake. Saka, that is what is there, ladies and gentlemen. What we want to do as Zimbabweans, 126 seats, ZANU-PF, 𝗨𝗚𝗚𝗏 73. Yeah, saka ndo pane nyaya. 126 seats. For them to get 140, vari kuda 14 seats from 𝗨𝗏𝗚𝗏. For them to get 140, to get 104, 2/3 majority. ZANU-PF is a lack of 14 seats. So they are trying to fight very hard to arrest all these 𝗨𝗏𝗚 members of parliament and try to snatch 14 seats. This is why you see they wanted 12 seats in Bulawayo, which they failed to garner. watambura ndatambura ngoma Jeff ndiri kurumwa panapa nemosquito saka apa ndozorara nechikwenya zvakaipa. So you see, as Zimbabweans, the best thing that we must do is let's practice tolerance, guys, and live together in peace with others. 𝗨𝗚𝗚 can manage that. The only party that cannot live in peace with other people is ZANU-PF. You have seen before elections how 𝗨𝗚𝗚 was attacked by ZANU-PF, how President Chamisa was attacked by ZANU-PF. The good part is it was in the eyes of the election observers. I don't know whether ZANU-PF had forgotten that they invited election observers in our country, and they went on to attack the 𝗨𝗚𝗚. Every rally was attacked. People were bludgeoned to death in the vicinity of the election observers. So ZANU-PF cannot unite the people of Zimbabwe. They have got no strength to unite the people of the country. They have no strength to issue or to ensure security and protection of the people of Zimbabwe. They've got no power or no... ZANU-PF can't, ladies and gentlemen, can't ensure your security. They can't ensure acceptable principles of living. That a person is a human being born by a mother who, by nature, will grow, get old, and eventually die. But they kill you before your time. So they have got no respect of human rights. They've done it in the vicinity of the international observers who they invited to come and see. It's like they invited them to come and see their chaos, to come and see how they kill, to come and see how they block roads, how they stone Chamisa, to come and see how they fire arms or weapons at Chamisa, firearms, how they do their gunshots, how they aim at Chamisa and fire at him. So they did all this in the vicinity of the international observers. So I don't know why they invited this international machinery to come and witness such chaos, and they wanted a report, a favorable report after doing all that barbaric acts in the 21st century. Accordingly, the SADC issued a correct verdict of the election, and Mnangagwa is very stupid to have formed a government. Under those circumstances, you don't rush to form a government, because you will be frustrated, ladies and gentlemen. There is no going back. Those people who were saying, hey, this cannot be reversed, this cannot be done. We have got a history of one election which was reversed in our country. If you don't know that, it was, and they have 36 seats. It's very unfortunate. 36 seats. Not 20, not 126, 136. I'm not sure how much they got. I don't know how much they got. So they are fighting to ensure that they convict and kill. Some of them, some of our members will be killed. And some of our members of parliament will be incarcerated so that they snatch these seats and attain a two-thirds majority, which they want to have. So, according to me, Zimbabwe has got no government. So I'm not sure when they are going to United Nations, wow, they are going to introduce themselves as a Zimbabwe government, considering what we know. Anziko na Eustace, Anzorimboko Eustace, Amenozo Anyora. And the people of Zimbabwe will continue being divided as long as opposition troops continues to allow people like yourself, 𝗨𝗏𝗚𝗆, to talk your misguided, shallow thought rhetorics. They are not shallow rhetorics. I am stipulating what United Nations must do, or what is in the what's the purpose of United Nations. So if that is shallow, then ZANU-PF is ZANU-PF people. They are as good as marabundus. They are bush people. They are as good as Bushmen. Civilized. Because I don't expect a person like Eustace, who lives in the first world country, in a civilized world, to say such things. Because what I'm saying here is what are the duties of United Nations. These are in the United Nations Charter. So if that is divisive, then you are still uncivilized. You understand? Because what is here is the people, what the peoples of United Nations are determined to do. First of all, they want to ensure that we save succeeding generations from this scourge of war. They don't want wars in the world. This is what the people of United Nations said. We don't want wars. We still have generations to come to live in this world. Even if we go, we still need some people to continue with life. There is continuity of life after this generation. We succeeded another generation, an uncivilized generation. We came into this country. We are in the 21st century, in a digital era that Mbuyane Anda never saw. Imagine if Mbuyane Anda was there, if social media was there during Mbuyane Anda's time. By now, we could be reading what Mbuyane Anda did. And we could be doing what Mbuyane Anda did. By now, we could be seeing what Mbuyane Anda, why Mbuyane Anda was hanged. By now, we could see where Mbuyane Anda's grave is, if social media was there. But unfortunately, social media was not there. That was an uncivilized generation. And things change as time goes on. Now we are in a generation where we can leave these videos for our children, for generations and generations to come to know that there was a political party which was called 𝗓𝗡𝗚, which was killing people in every elections, and the Zimbabweans, those who were scared to the bone, were voting for them. But the brave ones, they never voted 𝗓𝗡𝗚, and they were attacking 𝗓𝗡𝗚 left, right, and center. You understand? I am not the only one. People can say, Shepherd, you are brave. There are very brave people you have seen in Zimbabwe. A good example is 𝗽𝗍𝗀𝗧, who went on a one-man band and sat in Union Square in Harare, where he demonstrated on a one-man demonstration, telling Mugabe, you have failed, now resign. For that, Jonathan Moyo led to his abduction and killing. So you see that 𝗽𝗍𝗀𝗧's videos are still there. Information is still there, which can be read by people probably 99 or 500, 99,000 years to come. 𝗨𝗡𝗚𝗚𝗍𝗍𝗃, what's about our topic tonight? Our topic tonight, people are asking, is Mnangagwa going to United Nations General Assembly? So I was saying, yes, he can go in a similar way Mugabe did in 2008. After declaring himself a winner, he formed a government. He flew to Rome Food Summit. In Rome Food Summit, he was ambushed by a video that I released on election rigging in 2008. When people were seated, all presidents were like relaxing, waiting for the processions. Then my video was played in Rome, where all world leaders were gathered. And they watched me speaking that this is probably the worst ever election that we've held. Only stones can survive in Zimbabwe. It's like a boiling water. I said quite a lot of things that even Mugabe was embarrassed. He was really embarrassed. And that led to his isolation from the summit. Above all, to sit down with him and say, look, this is what you have done, Mugabe. So you are not the legitimate president of Zimbabwe. Then he went back he issued an order that I should be arrested, and I should be killed, or I should be brought to him alive. You understand? There was a manhunt in Zimbabwe, and fortunately I had left the country. If I was still there by now, I would be history. You would be like, 𝗨𝗡𝗚𝗚𝗧𝗃, you see what I've done, but I skipped the country into safety. So there is nothing new Mnangagwa is doing. It's like history repeating itself. Having stolen the election, declared himself a winner, he's preparing to go to New York. I think by now he's in New York. I've seen 𝗓𝗡𝗚𝗚 people in New York saying, hey, we are welcoming our president and this and that. So probably he's in New York. and the sanctions are still dangling on him, and he cannot move from one place to another. I hope the people of America, they will continue to do like what I did during 𝗨𝗡𝗚𝗚, where I led a group of demonstrators in Scotland and ensured that Mnangagwa would never meet Zimbabwe anywhere except his hotel room. And I was there, I was right seated in front of a venue where Mnangagwa wanted to come, ready to pound on him. Saka, antumirai majgira wakafira pasina mafufu gozo, because we are suffering a lot, yes. So this is what is the topic all about tonight. So looking at it, people of Zimbabwe are saying, yes, Mnangagwa is going. There is no problem for Mnangagwa to go, but he is going to meet a lot of resistance. We know that United Nations has got a Security Council where there are 5 permanent countries with permanent seats. You can't remove them. America can't be removed. China can't be removed. Russia can't be removed. France can't be removed. Britain or United Kingdom can't be removed. Out of those 5 permanent seats, only 1 is attending Biden, and the 4 have decided to stay out because of their problems. First, Putin is under sanctions, and Putin has got an international warrant of arrest. Obviously, he cannot fly into New York. Once he does that, that's the end of him. They'll arrest him. Chief Soshe wariti kunga. Let's hope Chief Soshe would lead like the way I did on the 𝗨𝗡𝗚𝗚 26 summit in Scotland. So what I'm saying, this is what we are talking about tonight at 𝗨𝗡𝗚𝗃. I hope you managed to catch up with us. And the teachers, if I need to imbwais zinosotwa kuita kungendie amisira data. Sorry. Mine atali. Msagumbuka watete. Ndo zvazvinoita pane zvakawanda zvino takasiyana mukurarama. Ndosaka muchiti mukaenda kumusha munoona vamwe vanhu vakuora maoko. Hanzi musatanism vanopuwa mhiko yekunzi iwewe kuti uite mari uite chaunoda. Vamwe vanoti ndipei chironda chiri permanent. Hanzi unonofunga kuti munhu ane kensa yasina kensa ka uri mushonga munhu achidyiwa nemushonga mushonga iwo unenge uchimudya ndo unenge uchita kuti aite mari. Sorry guys, ndavhara makumbo ndazwa nekurumwa mosquito achari kupinda nemujini. Mnangagwa is worse because SADC have declared the election null and void. Yes, this makes Mnangagwa this put Mnangagwa's visit in New York in a mess. So so what I've been saying here is ZANU-PF or Mnangagwa himself, he never practiced tolerance in our country, and he cannot unite the people of Zimbabwe to live together as people of one country. Zimbabwe today is a divided country, which does not recognize Mnangagwa's presidents. So ZANU-PF itself and Mnangagwa, they've got no strength to maintain international peace and security. They've got no strength to maintain our national peace and security as well. They've got no strength to unite us together to become one people. We cannot serve the common interests of the country because we are too divided. Why are we too divided? Because of 𝗍𝗃. 𝗍𝗃 is a board that was appointed by Mnangagwa. So 𝗍𝗃 does not feel that the person who appointed him must lose an election. And they are happy to ensure that any flawed method of running an election is implemented. And this is where we are today. So we cannot serve the common interests of the country. We cannot employ the national machinery in developing our country or promoting our economy. We can't do that. We are like divided to the extent that even social advancement in our country becomes a very difficult thing to achieve. So we can't, ZANU-PF can't resolve anything, no matter even if we try to combine our efforts and do as what people pleases. As my demonstrations in Duochete are not gonna force ZANU-PF out. It depends on the type of demonstration. I've opened this presentation discussing the Arab Spring, where one man, those people who are advocating for demonstrations, can you lead by example? Go before the presidential motorcade, light yourself up so that people can follow. This is what happened in the Arab Spring, where one person thought enough is enough, took petrol, doused himself, went in front of the soldiers, set himself alight. This trakona seriousness in Zimbabweans. Because munano ande kuma demonstrations. Ande urukuti ande you can do a one-man demonstration. Ini ndakaita election rigging ndega. Apana akandibatsira. I was the all ndiri wani. Ndichimhanya nekamera ndichita sei ndichipinda muma musingapindwe ndichitaura zvisingataurwe. But I managed to film that and you all guys saw it. Saka kana pane mwe munhu ari kufila kuti we are behind with demonstrations and he is serious to die about Zimbabwe. Just set yourself alight in front of Mnangagwa's motorcade. Toziva kuti munhu anga ari serious. Then we follow you. Zviri simple zvandiri kutaura. Kwete munhu anouya kutaura hande kuma demonstrations ani tanga iwewe. Kana waona kuti Chamisa is not doing anything, stand up and lead. Guys, stand up and lead. Ndrukutara Arab Spring, it was sparked by one man who went before the army, doused himself with petrol, set himself alight to show that he was serious about his country, Tunisia. In Zimbabwe, Taita Magwara, people, they talk about demonstrations. Let's go for demonstrations. Let's go for demonstrations. Whilst they don't want themselves to lead, they don't want to be in the front themselves. Ukamubvunza kuti unatende ma-demonstrations ari kutanga kubuda ndiani? Iye haadi kutanga kubuda. Aiwa. Saka kana uri serious, tora chigubhu chako chepetrol, go in front of Mnangagwa's car, light yourself there. Zvidire petrol and set yourself alight. Totoziva kuti chimoto chatanga. Hanzi ko itaika nemukoma Yuda ndimi. This is what I'm saying, finance, that we have got leadership. Our leadership has mounted a diplomatic offensive against ZANU-PF. We are armed with a very good report from all the observer mission. We have got SADC, we have got EU, we have got Qatar Center, we have got AU. All these reports in the United Nations, they are pointing to say, look, Zeki failed to run an election. Therefore, all the results are null and void. And Saka from there, once we are armed with that, hey, let's boycott elections. For what reason? And how are you going to justify your action if you want to take action against ZANU-PF? Now we have got a strong base. That ZANU-PF is an illegitimate government. Mnangagwa is illegitimate. So whatever action you take to remove Mnangagwa is supported by the international community now. Because they know he's illegitimate. He can't impose himself as a president once he lost the election. Even if he won the election, let's assume he won the election. But the method that was used by ZEC produced a flawed result, which was condemned internationally. Now we have got what? You have got the basis to act. But before we hear any decision from the international organization, people are already advocating for uprising. People are already advocating for demonstrations. Guys, we have been involved in demonstrations. Tichikura taiona ma demonstrations achiitwa tiri vafana. Tikapindawo ma demonstrations acho isusu. Haana chakaburitsa. If it is our only strategy, then we don't have a strategy. We cannot only say demonstrations. Whilst we have got people who are supporting us. They are not supporting us, but they are supporting Zimbabwe to say, look, we cannot accept this result. It was obtained illegitimately or illegally. The system is all flawed. You are armed, you have mapua bazooka. Saka mdukushandisa bazooka ramunaro. Murufunga dawa ngatori tuma AK yuku. Mbomirai kan guys. Let's reason first. Where do you want to get? Where are we now? Can we go into the streets now? And then more. Saka toda kuona kuti vanhu muri kufungei, because United Nations kunga unga ukoko United Nations duty or their duty, main duty, is to maintain international peace and security. United Nations, it knows, with all the reports which are there right now, if they issue an otherwise, then they will spark instability in SADC. There will be instability in SADC. The issue of Zimbabwe, consider instability. But ZANU-PF does not enjoy majority. It does not enjoy majority. Imagine your way now. Saka United Nations is full aware of that. This is why they are saying United Nations' duty is to maintain international peace and security. To take effective collective measures. They are going to sit down. They are going to take effective collective measures to prevent any escalation of violence in our country. This is why I am saying even fresh elections can be held in our country. We've got precedence on that. In 1979 were the elections. In 1980 were the elections. The 79 elections were supposed to last for 5 years. Whilst Mzoriwa was Prime Minister for Zimbabwe government, Zimbabwe 𝗨𝗚𝗏 government. But that everything was null and void and cancelled by United Nations in our country. The precedence is there. So if we mobilize for mass protests, whilst we have got a very, even under mass protests, United Nations can say, okay, rerun of the election. But you have introduced chaos in our country. How are we going to deal with that chaos first? For us to have an election that will be accepted by international standards. And my demonstrations are Zimbabwe. My new strategy. Yes. Because if we talk of demonstrations and demonstrations and demonstrations, we have done them peaceful, violent ones. Remember the 1998 demonstration, how it was like. Ma-TV anoaitakura ma-TV, mafiriji. Mupana ndakaona akatakura chidya chemombe chese achimhanya abva nacho kuCSC. Ma-demonstrations are 1998, which were so violent, angadai akabvisa zano. Saka, kana iri ndio only strategy yedu, then we don't have a strategy. And anymore. Saka ndrukutaura ndichiti, UN is there to ensure effective collective measures are taken against Zimbabwe, against a flawed election, against a threat to peace, because that election is a threat to peace. And that election was done by suppressors, people who acted using aggression to say, look, this is what we are saying. That is aggression. That is not an election. That election does not conform to the principles of international organizations, a good example being SADC. Because they were supposed to have been held in a peaceful manner. When we talk of peaceful manner, we don't talk of the election day alone. We talk from the preparation of that election and to the post-election day. I am saying here, and maybe I am missing the point, 𝗨𝗏𝗧. Approximately how long do we have to wait for the next move? It does not have time. Elections are less than a month. 23 August, 23 September, 1 month my elections are it. Even those who make decisions, remember, there are people who come from their countries. They need to properly organize. They need to constitute a quorum so that they can deliberate on your issues. So, I know you want your issues done today, but that's not how SADC operate. That's not how United Nations operate. Now there is a General Assembly meeting in New York, the headquarters of UN. So, let's expect that they are going to deliberate on this. Because their purpose is to make sure they take an effective collective measure to prevent the security threats in our country. Because that election, you saw it. ZANU-PF were the aggressors in front of international election monitors. They breached the peace of the country. They breached the constitution of the country. They breached the electoral law of the country. Instead of letting 𝗨𝗚𝗚 campaign in peace, they were stopping 𝗨𝗚𝗚 rallies. When 𝗨𝗚𝗚 people gather in 𝗨𝗚𝗚, they will come, ZANU-PF will come with machetes and kill 𝗨𝗚𝗚 supporters on a rally. They just come and attack you, kill you, one of you, kill two of you, so that you will be scared of going to rallies. You see, that was not a peaceful preparation to the election. And ZEC, instead of addressing those issues, they continued with an election where even the people of Zimbabwe never saw 𝗨𝗚𝗚 on television or radio, never heard about them on radio, which are, according to the electoral laws, must be done. So already that made the election flawed. So the decision that is going to be made by international organizations, it does not have a time frame. Because they have got their protocols. They don't just say to Zimbabwe, we are in flyer. Remember, I'm going to fly to Tanzania, from SWAPO, from Zambia, from Mozambique, from where they need accommodation, they need this done, logistics done, how we're going to ferry them, where they're going to sleep, what are they gonna eat. So there are quite a lot of things that are done to prepare for those people to gather for a day and deliberate on our issues. It's not an overnight thing. Could a Zimbabwe election happen on us 24? It's not free and fair. Mangwana 25 or Mangwana 25. Tutungana. They are not coming from one place. They are coming from different places. So they need the proper organization, logistics put in place, what they are going to eat, where they are going to sleep, their security as well. So there is no time frame here until they said, right, we are ready on such a day, we are going to deliberate on this issue. Like here, United Nations can still deliberate because everybody is there. The good part, China is not there. Who are the handlers of Mnangagwa? Putin is not there. Who is the handler of Mnangagwa? So a decision can be made whilst these two are not there. It's to our advantage. And anymore. So what they want is the international community, they want to see us determined to maintain peace and our issue resolved in a peaceful manner, and ZEC made to conform to the requirements of our constitution and the requirements of the electoral laws. Then we go into a fresh pool. Winner of that pool can run Zimbabwe. With legitimacy, our country can develop. And more. And from there, even we expect you guys to develop friendly relations with your oppressors. Look at what is happening to Zambia now. Zambia kwakushandiswa mitemo constitution Zambia. And those who used to oppress and lock other people in prisons, they forget that when they were in government, they were the same people who put these laws which are now troubling them. Anzikana muri muhurumende government mkoma 𝗨𝗚𝗚𝗀𝗏. Please, isai mitemo yo yamunozoti kunyangwe mukabuda muhurumende, mitemo yo ichakuprotectai. Mai mukasa mutemo kuda kudhila ne opposition cheto ishaye chekuita. Kana mutemo yakuzo implementwa against you maakuchema. Zambia is using its constitution. And Lungu now is feeling the heat. He's feeling the heat. And Zimbabwe, ZANU-PF is crying. Kubatsira Lungu, kuchema msozine ropa. Ndikati, maakubatsira kuchema. Paisa mitemo iyo yekudzvanyirira vanhu. Yakumudzvanyirira nhasi. Sei musina kumutsura. Zvakafanana nemutemo yakaiswa na Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa mutemo yakaisa ya obvious. Kana akanza ma-elections ato UN yatotaura kuti rerun. And if fresh pools to be held in Zimbabwe. Obvious Mnangagwa kuzati akutodyiwa. Kana adyiwa mitemo iyoyi ichashandiswa against him. Iyo yaari kutishandisira iyo. Adidimona. Saka ndakutaura kuti kana matawina kana kuti muchinge mahwina ma-𝗨𝗚𝗚 pa election iri kuteera, please Make sure that you make friendly relations with the people of Zimbabwe. People of Zimbabwe are not enemies. These are citizens of a country. They want a government that respects them only. They want a government that is determined to serve its people. Because you are not bosses, you will be working for the people. So what they want is a national strength, a part with the national strength to deal with their concerns. So to achieve that, we need cooperation. Even ZANU-PF, he knows that 𝗚𝗏𝗚𝗏 cannot run the finance ministry effectively. Canada yangari munane brain, engada yakanokumbira kana tendai biti chai kuti vabiti ndimakambozvita paya. Ndokwapo enda hangu meet a finance minister. Because ukana watanga kudaro wapinda pa reconciliation. Wakuita cooperate with the needs of the people of Zimbabwe. Because our issues can only be solved with the knowledgeable people. If you lack knowledge, then you are nothing. So our country has got many problems. The biggest problem is about economy. Our economy needs a legitimate president to go into other countries and cry kuti ndibatsirewo wakomana. Because ukaenda uri illegitimate vanoti no. Ukaenda uri legitimate no. Andimona. Saka you need to go back to your country to sort out the social issues, the cultural issues, humanitarian character of your party and your government. The fundamental freedoms of a country must be recognized. So if you do that and eventually get this respect from your citizens, because Mnangagwa himself is not respected by the citizens of Zimbabwe because we know he's illegitimate. So after you sort your social issues, after you sort your cultural issues, humanitarian character of your part, after you promote togetherness in a country, do you know that you can run a successful economy? Look at what 𝗏𝗏 did between 2009 and 2013. He ran a successful economy. So today we are at the center or on the focus of every nation after these harmonized elections. Every nation is looking at Zimbabwe. They want to see us attaining freedoms. They want to see us attaining a working economy so that the people of Zimbabwe won't burden other Southern African countries. We have been burdening Botswana. We have been burdening Zambia. We have filled Zambian hospitals. Hey, that is a statistics HIV, Musadak. This is the highest rate of HIV. Vanhu vedu vari kurara muzvipatara, vari kurapwa muZambia. Zambia ine ma-statistics iri kuburitsa. South Africa ine ma-statistics iri kuburitsa. Vana Botswana vari kuburitsa. Mazimba ese ari kuya kuno vakaora. Vakarohwa nemukondazi. Ukatarisa kuno kuna UK hatichazvitauri izvo. Tikataura kuna UK kuno hatichazvitauri izvo. Vanhu vaora, takaora. Zoda tiri munyika medu tese tiri makuva. But tiri munyika dzinobatsira kuti kabirawo mbichana, kabirawo urarame. Saka ukatarisa statistics dzacho, they can tell you kuti in Southern Africa, Zimbabwe ndo yaitwa hit hard neHIV. Saka ipapo ngatipabatisisei vakomana. Because what we now need as a center of attention by every country, every nation in the world, we need to attain peace in our country. We need a president who ensure that the Zimbabwe people work together for the benefit of the next generation from us. That principle of sovereignty and equality can only work when we work together. But working together, it is only after an acceptable election. When we hold an election and Mnangagwa wins, I am the first person to come live and say congratulations, Shumba. When President Chamisa wins, I'm the first person to come live on Facebook and say congratulations, President Chamisa. That congratulation from Mnangagwa to congratulate the winner, President Chamisa, it will forge a togetherness in our country. And that principle of sovereign equality will work there. If it doesn't happen, then we will remain a doomed country. So, United Nations, all members are going there, except 4 countries that are not going to go there. And they are going to try and settle our issue. Our issue probably will be on the agenda. They want a peaceful means of resolving whatever is outstanding in our country. That will ensure peace and security in SADC region. If that is not happening, or if that doesn't happen, then there will be chaos in our country. Once there is chaos in our country, we will witness a lot of injustice. We have witnessed a lot of injustice in our country since 1980. Judges are captured. They've sent one last time to jail for 10 years for no crimes committed. This is a very good example of a captured judge, a captured justice. I don't know when he incarcerated innocent people for 10 years. When they are incarcerating 𝗨𝗏𝗧𝗨, an innocent soul for 2 years for no crime committed. Saga, we need a peaceful means of resolving these issues. If we don't do it peacefully, then our relations with the international community and the national communities, they will be ruined. And once ruined, we can never run a prosperous economy in our country. And worse still, tukutokonyana na Zambia wagere zvakanaka. Isu tisina chatinacho, tichinwa madhodhi just across Zambezi. Saka tikutaura chiti, where we are now, guys, hapana chichati stopa kuti tiende mberi. And isusu, let's not go ahead of these organizations. Let's give them chance to intervene in our situation without disturbances. Because to me, I am telling you from the military point of view, I don't want demonstrations in Zimbabwe. Can I repeat? Those people who come and say, let's do demonstrations in our country, you are not genuine opposition people. You have not suffered, but probably you are infiltrators sent to say, let's nudge them into action. I don't want demonstrations at this juncture. If it is another strategy that we need to use in Zimbabwe, it's an armed struggle. I've maintained this time and again, that if United Nations fail to solve our issues, if SADC fail to solve our issues, the only chaotic means or strategy that we can implement in our country is to try and train insurgents and fight ZANU-PF government. This is a strategy that we need to try now. We have done demonstrations. We have seen people being shot. We have lost members, even in any peaceful environment. Because ZANU-PF is using state machinery, is using state firearms, the police firearms, the army firearms, the army weapons, Zimbabwe weapons are being used by a political party to kill political opponents. We don't have weapons. We can't fight the army, which is being used by ZANU-PF. We can't fight the police, which is being used by ZANU-PF. Because we don't have anything. We are bare. We've got bare hands. But when need comes, there is no need of approaching this situation with bare hands. We need to get firearms. We need to engage militarily and fight ZANU-PF government. The same government that is using the state weapons to kill innocent civilians and armed people. So the only strategy is not about demonstration. We have done demonstrations in Zimbabwe. I want to be clear here. We did demonstrations from 1980. The earliest demonstration that you guys can remember who were there is 1998. And from there, draconian laws and rules were implemented. Our constitution was panel beaten to protect ZANU-PF. This is when they start releasing armed soldiers to go into CBD and kill Zimbabweans. I am telling you, a Zimbabwe National Army, armed with the arms of war, they were deployed in Harare Central Business District. They started firing at fleeing civilians, and they killed innocent people. I saw a woman who was locking his office with a bullet from the back. Shot from the back. That means she was running away. And those are crimes under international conventions, especially the United Nations, the International Court of Justice. I don't know why they did not charge the likes of Mnangagwa. He came back from Russia and said, yes, I deployed the army. That was enough to charge him. So what I'm saying is, you guys, you might cry, let's go into the streets without firearms of war, without arms to protect ourselves. Because once the army start firing at us, we need to fire them, we need to fire back. There is no way we can block bullets with our hands. There is no way we can throw stones to armed soldiers. Because if you see soldiers start firing at people, they are declaring war. 2018 was a declaration of civil war in Zimbabwe. Luckily, we had a very intelligent leader in form of President Nelson Chamisa, who managed to quell down the anger of the people. But this time it's different. We have got the international community trying to solve our issues peacefully. I am saying to United Nations, I am saying to SADC, I am clear to African Union, that if you fail as international organizations to do your duty and solve the Zimbabwe issue, you would have sparked a civil war. Zimbabweans are going to train, are going to arm themselves, and they will fight a civil war. And we will remove ZANU-PF militarily. It's clear here. It's clear. If you come to the United Kingdom, this UK, if you walk in England, you will never see an armed soldier in this country. You will never see an armed policeman in this country. Where you see a policeman, is there are thugs armed. They are armed thugs, and the police and the military police will come and deal with them. The armed police, the armed part of police, UK police, will come and deal with armed criminals with firearms. I've never seen a disturbance in the United Kingdom where armed soldiers were deployed against unarmed civilians in this country. I've stayed in this country for 15 years. I've never seen a day where armed soldiers were quelling riots here. Never. So we are too primitive in Zimbabwe. We've got a primitive government, barbaric people leading that country, who thinks that armed soldiers can go into CBD and start firing live ammunition to fleeing civilians. It's a criminal offense, killing someone fleeing. Even during the war, when I surrender, you are not allowed to kill me. You need to capture me. If you kill me, you've committed a war crime. So whatever happened in 2018, those are war crimes, which we expect Mnangagwa to be arraigned before the international courts. Which I expect Sanyatwe to be arraigned before the international courts, who was the commander of the presidential guard, who signed and deployed armed soldiers against civilians. Whilst we have got police, ZRP, support unit, those guys, you send them without firearms. They can quell any riot, those guys. They are trained to do that. But surprisingly, they send armed soldier to shoot at fleeing civilians. Which we are saying, enough is enough. If you come to the United Kingdom, we've got Shinyanga in prison today, who cried, who watched those people being gunned down. And that Zimbabwean could not hold his feelings and tears. Shinyanga spent an hour crying live on Facebook when he was watching a video of innocent civilians being gunned down in Harare. His conviction in the United Kingdom came as a surprise. That why the British They don't send soldiers to go and kill innocent people. They send soldiers to war. They send police to quell disturbances. But they incarcerated Chinyanga for crying to say, look, but why Zimbabwe army is gunning down people? Why Zimbabweans are gunned down? What crime did the Zimbabweans commit to warrant this killing from the state? So what I'm saying here is now, let's look at SADC. Let's look at United Nations. If they fail to solve our problems, then we need to solve our own problems. Demonstrations is no longer a strategy against ZANU-PF. We have done demonstrations before. That means when we need to go into Zimbabwe, we need to be armed and we need to fight militarily to remove ZANU-PF government. This is the only strategy that is left for Zimbabweans to engage. We've done elections, they've been stolen. Every election in our country is disputed. That means even we do elections the next 10, 100 years, they will still be disputed. It's because of ZAC and the flawed system that they use. You can hear Mnangagwa saying, if you dream this country never being ruled by ZANU-PF, go and brew beer. If you dream of ZANU-PF removal, go brew beer. You boast like that. Because he knows the ZAC is stuffed with their children. Their children are running election. Nepotism. Their children are in government. They tell you that if you want a job, employ yourself, you're a graduate. But their children, they employ their children in ZAC. They employ their children in government as ministers and deputy ministers. So this is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. If we need to stop that road, demonstrations are not a strategy to remove ZANU-PF. We will all be shot. We will all be killed. You will all die. They don't care. They've done it and they will continue to do it. So the next strategy is to up our game. Let's up our game. Let's wait for SADC. Let's wait for United Nations. Let's wait for African Union. If these international organizations fail to bring peace in our country, then we need to seek peace by other methods. I am being clear here. That will settle our national dispute. Once we start an armed struggle in Zimbabwe, it will settle our national dispute. And the peace will return to our country. As long that manner, it's the only way that can bring peace to our country. Look at South Sudan. Look at Sudan. There was a heavy fighting in Darfur until they divided that country to say, let's share it. Run your portion, we run our portion. Then peace returned to Sudan. 𝗨𝗡𝗆 was removed. Nobody ever thought that 𝗨𝗡𝗆 would go. So I am saying here that we have got engaged, we have engaged the international community. Let's give SADC a chance. Let's give African Union a chance. Let's give United Nations a chance. Let them use whatever they use. For the time being, let's refrain. Let's refrain from inciting unnecessary demonstrations. Because we will lead into slaughter. We will lead our people into slaughterhouse. And they will be killed. Tuchachema. Tichaenda kumakuva. Tichaviga vanhu. Todzoka kumba togara tonyarara. We can give you any assistance. We can buy coffins. We can buy food. But the lives lost, they can never return. So let's refrain from unnecessary demonstrations. Let's not incite our people to go and be slaughtered. No. What we need to do is, when we decide we have used all strategies against ZANU-PF. There is only one strategy that we never tried. Arming ourselves. When they shoot at us, we shoot at them. As 𝗨𝗡𝗚𝗆𝗆 ndiko vanoda zano vanoita zvechembere dzavo. Yes, So what I'm saying is, considering all the avenues that we have taken, because now we've got a justification. We have followed all the legal channels. We have followed everything that needs to be done. We have done it. Our president has done it. Chamisa has done everything. So what you only need to do, guys, is to make sure we wait for the verdict of SADC, the verdict of AU, the verdict of United Nations. If these organizations becomes a white elephant, then we have got no option. People are still fighting in DRC. There are a lot of countries where people are still fighting for independence. And we can start fighting for our independence. And if you listen to ZANU-PF people, they have said this. Particularly Mchangwa. He said, if you want independence, go and fight for it. Because we fought for it. So in other words, the gentleman is telling you that if you wanted to be free in this country, go fight for it. We fought for it. We are not going to let you enjoy Zimbabwe without a fight. So it's all up to us that such prejudice, such people, they boast of this prejudice to say you will never enjoy Zimbabwe. And that prejudice is obtained by application of force, unnecessary force on the innocent people of Zimbabwe. They've amended our constitution on several occasions. They've made sure that our constitution serves their interests, not the interests of the country. This is why, look at their cabinet. The cabinet, it's a family cabinet. You could 𝗨𝗚𝗚𝗏𝗹 kaka girlfriend kani munanga agwa mwana wake arimo mwana wamunanga agwa naRubabra akaona ndimainini. It's all mayhem in ZANU-PF. Not even the whole veterans now. I think vakunyatsofunga Mugabe achitaura kuti muchandirangarira kwavo kuvari kurangarira Mugabe kuti Bob akambozvitaura kuti uyu mudhara wamuri kufunga kuti achakutongai zviri peaceful muchandirangarira. And our economy will never rise under such people and more. Saka instead yekuti apushirwe kuInternational Court of Justice nemhosva dzaakapara Mnangagwa, atopara wese mhosva. Atopara wese. Ukaenda uko International Court of Justice, kune 15 majudges ariko vanenge vakaelectwa by both the General Assembly and the Security Council for 9-year term. Vakatomirira kutonga mhosva. Kwete edu majaji anosarudzwa naMnangagwa unzi wewe ndiwanda kuita judge naye chakupa kesi yakati tokupa $500 US dollars tokupa imba tokupa motikari chauya nenyaya yema-elections ikoko. Vanozviita vanodherera vanozviita vachitodherera vanozati hamuna zvamugona kuita. Saka ndiri kutaurira kuti now these election observers, they came, they supervised our elections, they monitored them, they came with a verdict. We are armed with that verdict to say, look, hapana chakamboitikwa chiri free and fair. Ladies and gentlemen, ndikataurisa this is 10 past 10. But don't muzive kuti nyaya yatiri kutaura iyoyi iri kuzikanwa internationally kuti kuZimbabwe, vanhu vekuZimbabwe, they are fighting to end poverty in all its form. When we are fighting in Zimbabwe, we are fighting to end poverty in its form, in all its form. Hakuna munhu anonzi uyo hafanira kuafoda bhutsu, haana imba yekugara, haana chekudya, haana mvura yekunwa, nyika ina magetsi. Izvozvo has driven Zimbabwe into poverty. So what we are fighting as 𝗏𝗏𝐶 or as citizens of a country is to end poverty in all its forms. This is why we are saying we want a legitimate government. We want an election that will be supervised by the international community before we decide to take a drastic action against this illegitimate government. Because I am telling you, when the United Nations fail this time, we will spark a war. Because what we need to remove is this illegitimacy. And that war will be led by 𝗨𝗏𝗚𝗏𝗹. I don't want to hide this. This is the feeling of every Zimbabwean. Nosaka maona mukaenda pa status pangu ndafunga Jona ndikati Jona wakatumwa naShe kuenda kuNinivha, Jona wakatya kuenda, wakafunga kutiza, akakwira muchikepe chaienda kuTashishi, Mwari vakatsamwa nazvo, vakatumira mhepo. Varume vakati Jona, iwe Jona, ita basa raMwari. Hanzi chikepe chakada kunyura. Chada kunyura chikepe ichocho. Vanhu vakashamisika vati chii chaakuitika, chikepe chonyura here? Akabva ati varume musacheme henyu, imhosva yangu ini, ndanga ndatumwa naBaba, ndikandei mumvura. Vakamukanda mumvura, akamedzwa nehove, hove akafamba naye. Hanzi hove yakaenda naye ikazonomusvipa akuenda kuNinivha. Nyaya yandiri kutaura not me but kuti tese isusu tiri kutiza basa ratakapuwa naMwari kunzi tiite. Mwari vakatiende kuHarare tonoita basa ravo ikoko kuZimbabwe, asi ruzhinji rwedu takatiza tishuya kuna UK. Ukada kubvunza Mwari muno muUK mwane 20 years munomu, haana kana mapepa ekugara munyika munomu, haana kubva amboshanda munyika munomu, kana achishanda aingora zvogweja izvo. Kumusha kwacho haana chaanacho, kana wakauya ne21 ne40 years. That means takatiza basa ratakapuwa naMwari rekusunungura Zimbabwe. Ndaitarisa musuno ndikati ndaane 15 years munyika muno, chandaita chii? Hanzi pindura apo, hanzi panzi kudiko. Mameseji acho anouya ndakashuta ndichida kutaura. Hanzi okay, let's say SADC AU UN zvotadza, so maguns anozowanikepi? Very good question. Regai ndikutaurire mapindura mabvunza mubvunzo wakanaka. Ini ndopindura mubvunzo nema-examples, real examples. Let's go to Libya. Ukaenda kuLibya hakuna pfuti nyowani yakabva panze ichipinda muLibya. Ngati mubate kutaura kwangu. Hakuna pfuti nyowani yakarwisa Gaddafi yakabva kunze kwenyika. Hakuna. Pfuti Gaddafi musi wakapfurwa nepistol yake. A golden pistol yakagadzirisa iye yegoridhe. Ndo yakaro makaona ichiridzwa inza achipfurwa Gaddafi. Kusvika afa akapfurwa nepistol yake yakagadzirisa a golden pistol. Futi dzakarwisa Libya dzaitorwa muamari yemasoja ekuLibya. Mvunga mupopoto yakatanga makamba muLibya. Mbombera ikapinda ikareidha masoja, maamkiza akatorwa, maamari akavhurwa, maganza akaburitswa. Futi dzakabuda muamari yemasoja ekuLibya. Because what they were fighting vairwa nevakomana vainzi veKhamisi Brigade. Saka mama units eso emasoja akapanduka paya. Ndo makazoona general uyo akumbotonga temporarily. Because an uprising was within Libya. Hapana mame, ndonzwa chinzi America yakazodai. Hapana maAmerican watakaona paya. Kana pakabatwa Gaddafi achibviswa pasi pebridge, atiza kupinda mubridge. Hapana aimbofunga Gaddafi ungatiza kupinda mubridge. But akakambaira akapinda mubridge. Vakauya vakamubata vakamuburitsa mubridge akatanga kuchema, don't kill me, musandiuraye, musandiuraye. Vakati Satan, torega kukuuraya kuzotinetsa. Vakamukanda pistol yake, golden pistol, ndo yakamupfura nayo da. Bye bye. Saka a question yekuti futi dzobva kupi muZimbabwe? Futi hadzibvi outside, futi dzirimo muZimbabwe. Ukaenda kuMudzuku vane amari, ukaenda paSupport Unit apa vane amari, ukaenda paInkomo apa vane amari, ukaenda paCommando vane amari, enda paKG6 pane amari, ukaenda kuThornhill vane amari, ukaenda kuKwekwe ku5 Brigade vane amari, enda kuMasvingo 4 Brigade vane amari ikoko. Mama randuta rakazara pfuta akazara nyere ane mabhaumbu. Mune zvese zvirimo. Ukaona motikari dzairohweswa Libyan army. Yairohwa nemotikari dzavo dzearmy. Kwete dzakabva panze. Hakuna motikari amadhikaya yakabva panze yakashandiswa. Hanzi mugoma muchaitwa kwa chinyanga. Lakson, I don't care. To be honest with you, my brother, I'm sick and tired of it. I don't care. Kunzanzi ndinosungwa, ndichazovharirwa. Ndichitaura kuti maBritish vakatregerera. United Nations yakatregerera. These people, they watched when we were being butchered. They watched when we were being assassinated. They watched when we were being tortured. So I don't care, guys. I don't care. What I'm saying is, let's wait for the verdict of African National Union, for the verdict of United Nations, for the verdict of SADC. If I see someone saying, yay, 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 if I see someone telling us that, say, yay, let's go and demonstrate on the roads, let's throw stones at Zimbabwe soldiers, you are not doing justice to the people of Zimbabwe. We have thrown those stones. We have carried out demonstrations in our country. ZANU-PF has never treated us with kid gloves. Every time we go into the roads to demonstrate, they will deploy armed soldiers. Those soldiers will be holding AK assault rifles. Those AK assault rifles, they are not for riots, but they are weapons for war, small arms of war. They come and shoot you. They have shot us. There is a video here of 𝗚𝗲𝗚𝗍𝗶𝗍𝗶 and 𝗨𝗡𝗚𝗏 inciting Zimbabweans to be shot and killed. And Zimbabweans were killed in 2018. Zimbabweans were killed in 2019. Whilst the international community is watching. We have got the United Nations, which is supposed to ensure peace and stability in every country, in any region in the world. They've never done that. So the ball is in our court. What I'm saying is, we are armed with the SADC report. We are armed with the African Union report. We are armed with the United Nations report on the flawed electoral process, which was done by their children. ZANU-PF children, Mnangagwa's child, Mangwana's child, 𝗨𝗏𝗚𝗆's child, Mohadi's child. Those constitute commissioners of ZEC. They ran a flawed election that ushered illegitimacy in our country. So if we are to challenge illegitimacy, we don't need to challenge illegitimacy with whatever. We can say no. We have got a legal means, a legal way of challenging illegitimacy. And that is a diplomatic offensive which was launched by the opposition president. So I am saying, at this juncture, let's wait. We don't need to make noise. We don't need to demonstrate. If we incite you to go into the demonstrations without anything to protect you, you will still be butchered in a 2018 style. You will still be butchered in a 2019 style. We will lose people. We will lose life unnecessarily. So what I'm saying is, let's wait for United Nations. They are at the United Nations General Assembly. They are going to touch our issues. Because their duty is to end the poverty. And we don't want poverty. We are in foreign land. We don't want to be in foreign land. We want to be home. We want to enjoy our country. Our country is in the hands of few who are enjoying it. So what I'm saying is the removal of ZANU-PF will end the poverty in all its forms. We want to end hunger in our country. Zimbabwe was a breadbasket of Africa. We achieved a food security that not any other African country achieved in its lifetime. We improved the nutrition of Zimbabweans. Why to go on Zimbabwe Nagamirabo? And why to get some Zimbabwe name Zambian? Mazambians say, "Zoro Watema, Maizora Mafte Guchuka." Why to get a skin or Zambian? Nenzara. But that changed. We had an improved nutrition ourselves. We had a sustainable agriculture system in our country. And that was destroyed by a political party because they need power. Zimbabweans during Rhodesia, I've said this and I'll maintain it because I was there during Rhodesia. That in Zimbabwe, ladies and gentlemen, we had a Rhodesian government, or Ian Smith ensured health for all Rhodesians. When we came into Zimbabwe, we expected continuity of that health for all Zimbabweans. We have got probably the largest hospital in SADC, Parenyatwa. Which Parenyatwa used to do renal operations, heart operations, all part of the world. That means we had a working health systems. We had Rhodesia promoted well-being of Rhodesians at all ages. Zimbabwe came early. Zimbabwe promoted well-being of every Zimbabwe at all ages. Why took a mirror at some Zimbabwean? Why good scholar? Yes, this is a Zimbabwean. Akuna Zimbabwean I told one mepo. So takuona is. Akuna. Saka, what I'm saying is, United Nations, Africa Union, SADC, help us. We want to ensure inclusive of citizens of Zimbabwe in decision-making of our country. Even the education system. Look at the education system. Their children are no longer getting to University of Zimbabwe. They are flying to United Kingdom. Birmingham University but University of Zimbabwe. Saka, we want to ensure inclusive and equitable equality of education to the people of Zimbabwe. We want to promote lifelong learning for the people of Zimbabweans. We need them to have opportunities which are not there, which were removed by ZANU-PF. Ndakanzwa report yakanyorwa nana SADC vachichema about gender equality, saying women were not given enough room to participate in an election. Women can't. Look at Fadzai Mahere. How many times she has been arrested? Look at Linda Masarira. How many times she has been blasphemed by the regime? Kushika Linda Masarira to protect herself is to join them. When you can't beat them, join them. Now is an agent of the regime. It's not because of she's willing to be an agent of the regime, but it's the political environment that does not promote gender equality. Zimbabwe is the only country where a woman cannot be a president. I am telling you. Joyce Mjuru was about to become a president. Mnangagwa came and said, "Adakuraya Mugabe. Arucheka huko achita mshonga." What was next? Mugabe cried. Mjuru fired. Because after Mugabe, Mjuru was going to be president of Zimbabwe. But it's a country that does not even promote gender equality. Ukaenda kwedu opposition. Aduka, chikuti kwedu, takaona kuti dai takaenda na maikupe. Ataingono tukazva Douglas Monzora. Tonotsvetwa kuzana. Takazviramba. Kusvika kupa aona sense of it. She followed us, joined us. And it more. Saka muri kuona tikutaura kuti our war yatoda isusu. It's not just to fight kukanda nyere kana kukanda matombo kana kupinda murodhi kuita noise unnecessary. No. We want to achieve something. We want to ensure we've got this availability and sustainable management, especially of health system, water system, sanitation on its own. Zimbabwe ine vana vari kukura vasikana vari kubudza vari kushandisa manewspaper. Tinorima cotton munyika medu but atigona kugadzira mapedzi ekupa vana vedu vasikana. Andimona saka ndiri kutaura nchiti what we want to ensure patasvika panapa, we want to ensure every Zimbabwean has got access to food, affordable accommodation, reliable employment, sustainable and modern day energy. Kuti kana wakagara mumba mako haufaniri kugara uchifanira magetsi anogona kudzima. You can't do your life on Facebook. You can't, because tine vanhu vane umbimbi ndoga. Saka, ladies and gentlemen, if we fail kuita zvandiri kutaura panapa, then tinge tafaila. Because ukatasa muma-cities atinawo akavakwa nema-British. We never built any new city in our country. Nikaramba nchitaura kusvika kuseni, guys. It's 27 past 11. It's 27 past 10. Saka ndane almost 2 hours nchitaura. Regai ndikontinue mangwana kana musina nyatsogutsika nezvanataura. Because nhasi ndiri kuona kuti makangoti ziya hapana kana love and like nenhauro yekuti ndabaya pamoyo. Ndiri kutaura kuti ukaona munhu ari kuuya kwauri kuti ngatipinde muroad demonstrate, munhu ari kuda kukuurayisa yeye. Ari kuda kukuurayisa, asi haakudi. Kana ndatumwa nezano kuti ngatimboopfurai mbichana. Because vanobhilivha kuti kupfurwa kwatinenge tichiita kwekwe kunenge kuchizotipa chi, kunenge kuchitipa fear. What they want is just to instill fear in us. Saka I am saying, let's be very careful with whatever you listen now. Mukanoteerera vana Gambako kana mukateerera umwe munenge muchiteerera vaive, don't come here and ask me what Gambako was saying. Because he can say whatever he says, his platform. And don't come here, wateerera vaRakashi waya utaura kuti muRakashi anga achiti zvakati. Because muRakashi will ensure that you hate the people who are being oppressed. muRakashi, he will paint uRakashi wow as if zvinhu zvakanaka sterek. So you need to be very careful with what you are listening, what you are reading. Very careful. Andimona. Because you are people being oppressed. All sorts of rubbish will be thrown to you. You will be made to read certain things. Andimona. Yes. Chimurenga chakutodiwa varume. Chimurenga number, Chimurenga 3 kwete 4 yanga iri hondo yeminda yavo iyai. Chedu sofanana Chimurenga 3 chekusunungura Zimbabwe. Mwana weZimbabwe wese must be free. I am a propagandist's purpose is just to act on one set of people. Imimi could imimi believe whatever they want you to believe. They want you to forget about upenyu wakanaka kutika sunungura chagara upenyu wakanaka. We are human beings, guys. Atisi mombe dzekuti padzinoita ndove ndo madzinogara. Ukaenda kuZimbabwe unoona sewage ichierera mavanogara kudai. Zvataiona kuZambia zviya. Waiti ukapinda muZambia waifamba wakabata munhu kudai. Yeah, sewage ichierera every mukamwala memayerera dhodhi myamwe. Ukapinda musiti muLusaka mayerera dhodhi, musiti center. Zvachinja zvapiduka zvakunyika kwedu. We are people. We are human beings. We need to be respected. We need a government that respects us. If we can't get a government that we want, because the government is using unscrupulous measures to deal with us when you go for voting, then we need to use unscrupulous methods to remove it from power. And it's more. Because ukaenda paZBC, they've said a lie time and again. Izvozvi nyaya waruchema, hey, we are under sanctions. MaBritish akati sama sanctions. The Britons, they sanctioned us. The Americans, they sanctioned us. Mnangagwa is boarding a plane right now kuenda United Nations kuunga. Kwa aruchema nema sanctions. When he is there in United Nations, he will never talk about sanctions. You come back home smiling. I saw Biden smiling at me. I saw who is that Cameroon Blair, former Prime Minister of England. I met him. He was smiling at me. Guys, I am telling you, come to UK. Ask those who are in the United Kingdom. If you go in every corridor here, meet a white person. That white person will give you a plastic smile. The British people, they know how to smile. They give you a plastic smile. And if they give you that plastic smile, the second one, as I'm loved. When they go behind you, they say all sorts of nonsense. They're like Zimbabweans. When I give you a smile, it's from my heart. When these people give you a smile, it's from their mouth. It's a plastic smile. They just say, meet them here, ask those who came to this country. They will tell you. That's it. Hi, Shepherd. That useless bugger. That black cunt. I've been 15 years in this country. Would you go to university? So no, say, hi, darling. Hi, sweetheart. Would you go Papa? Fail him. Uno foira. But you say get around foira. Takama foira ma statistics pa T-side university. Would you do statistics? You've got one last chance. Once you fail that one, they won't give you a degree. Aurare wa garapana about you wearing statistics would no passa. At all. So don't be persuaded. Don't believe in them. Believe in yourself. Once the demonstration, tanga wabvunza kuti kudaizirwa nani. Munhu arikudaizira demonstration dati tora chigubhu chepetrol naunozvidira. Set yourself alight. We see that you are serious. You want demonstrations. It sparked Arab Spring in Tunisia and more. So whenever you find yourself, ladies and gentlemen, on the side of majority, you are right. Whenever you find yourself on your own side, ipapo, wait, take a pause, take time, pause, reflect. Am I on the right place? Am I doing the right thing? And then we're going, am I on the right place? Am I doing the right thing? If you find yourself on your own. But if you find yourself inside, whatever the majority want to do, you are on the right direction. If you follow the majority, because it is so amazing how some people want to incite violence, but they don't want to be involved in violence. They want to cite uprising. They don't want to, to be involved in that uprising. They don't believe in themselves. They believe in sending you with a demonstration. When you go out, you don't see them. Gentlemen, let's use our oblongata. That we have done every strategy in our country. We've got only one strategy left. And that strategy must be initiated by people like 𝗨𝗏𝗧. I must lead you. I must surrender this comfort of United Kingdom and live in a bush just to free Zimbabweans. I can go live in a bush. I will surrender this comfortable life. Where I'm seated here, you can tell I'm so comfortable. I've got books to read. I've got a computer with me. And then on. I've got an iPhone 14 Pro. I've got everything that I need. I've got notebooks. I've got radios, I've got music. This is comfort, which I should surrender and say, let me go and free my people. Starting from today onwards, I will call you my people. Because you also got your person. Then you are my people. You are my person. Because you should take initiative to say, I need to have my people. Make me your person. And call me my people. I'll be happy. But if you've got no plan, if you've got no strategy, don't ever call me your people. I'll call you my people. Because you need just to make sure you attain freedom. University. And more. This is not propaganda, ladies and gentlemen. This is something that I must persuade every Zimbabwean to take seriously. To say, look, for the time being, let's give SADC a chance. Let's give United Nations a chance. Let's give AU a chance. Because if they fail us, then what we need, why you are saying let's give them a chance, we need a proper election in our country. run by the SADC, run by the AU, run by United Nations, supervised by these guys, to make sure every Zimbabwean has got a chance to choose, not to be forced to choose. Once that happens, there is no point of fighting a war in our country. Even if ZANU-PF wins, we say congratulations. We know we have been defeated. Nobody shall of more ZANU-PF yakasimba. Kana tichinge tadyiwa in a free and fair election. As long as things are standing at the moment, there is nothing we can say congratulations. Instead, we say, let's poke their eyes. Because they have poked our eyes, let's poke them. It's a tit for tat. And it more. Saga, in the pesa, guys. We might disagree and agree. But whatever we disagree on, we put our heads together. Whatever we agree on, then we move forward. Zhakwa uri kufuka kana kuwaridza. Dhiriwora iro vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora asi Shepherd chimurenga chinonetsera kuti mobile phones anotengesa positions big time. Imimi munenge munawo kam adini mukoma Phineas kana matanga chimurenga chacho imimi muno set up your equipment as well. Vachiuya munenge muchivaonawo. It's warfare. Imimi set up your equipment. Chagai modern equipment ekuziva kuti kana mavakuuya munovaona. Makorano kwakanaka kune drone. Ningori drone riri ameno muchiona kuti ava vari kudai vapakata muchirovana. Zvakanaka serekizvazvo. Madrone mazuva ano unogona kutospaya ukatoona masoja akagara papi. Vari kuite chii? Saka azvinetse zvazvo. Azvinetse. Imimi be advanced opa technology. Iyo vari advanced muri advanced. Makore na kuchatakurwa zvezviri zviredio zvaiurayisa vanhu nguva dzehondo. Utari over Roger Roger out. Confirm zvaiurayisa zvazvo. Mazuva ano hazvisiko zviya. Unenge une ma-earphones. Unenge une ma-earphones muhondo. Achitaura uchinzwa. Saka technology yati. Akusina over. How do you read? 5 go ahead. Zvakapera zviya. Zvekumunda nezvekutsvagisa mbudzi. Kutsvagisa mombe. Mombe dzangu dziri kwenyere ikoko. Kwane technology zvinezvi. Dhiriwora vakomana. Dhiriwora rembanje. Ivo vakomana. Dhiriwora rembanje vanogara mudhiriwo usatambe navo vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora rembanje vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora vakomana dhiriwora rembanje ona dhiriwora iro dhiriwora rembanje ivo vakomana dhiriwora rembanje vanogara mudhiriwo usatambe navo vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora rembanje nogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora vakomana dhiriwora rembanje vanogara iro dhiriwora iro vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora rembanje nogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora iro dhiriwora rembanje mudhiriwo vakomana vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora rembanje gara mudhiriwo musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora rembanje nogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora vakomana dhiriwora rembanje vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora iro vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora rembanje nogara mudhiriwo vakomana vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora rembanje nogara mudhiriwo musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwora rembanje gara mudhiriwo dhiriwora vakomana. Good night. Musara zvakanaka naye. Ndoziva kuti masara mune appetite yekuda kunzwa mo. Mangwana ndiri pachitigo. Saka tinokwanisa sangana pachitatu tokurukura. Mangwana manheru ndabva kubasa tinokwanisa kukurukurazve kuti tionanisane. tisafurira vanhu kuti handei demonstration unsanctioned demonstration. No, tinourayisa vanhu for nothing. Vanhu vakaurawa vafurirwa nevanhu vezanu. We were infiltrated in 2018. Vanhu vakanzi tawina pwanya zvinhu futi dzikauya vanhu vakafurwa vakafa. Saka let's not repeat the same error. Ukaona kuti uda kumademonstration iwewe imbotanga uri wega umboenda umbozvidira petrol, douse yourself, demonstrate pamberi pemotakedi yaMnangagwa toziva kuti uri serious. Sekuru Chitima sekuru Louis muri sei? Louis Chitima muri sei sekuru? Makasimba here handiti maona. Saka ndo nyaya iripo. Ndiriora vakomana ndiriora rembanje. Goodbye, good night. Murara zvakanaka, good night. Ona vakomana vanogara mudhiriora, ona vanogara sorry ndisandaenda ndakasaka nemwe mufacebook lidzu zvikanzi why is it vanhu vari so courageous, vanhu vanofighta ZANU-PF, vanhu vanobva kuMalawi, vana Yuda, vana Biti, vanani. Ndikati kana tiri one country federation. Saka ndine masimba ekuti kana nyange ndikada kuti rebel leader ndikaleader ndikatora nyika yendogona kumboitonga. But aiwa Mwari wakatipa wachamisa. Hanzi musatora time musina kudzoka please. Tinokuda every day. Thank you Venice. Thank you Atete. Ndatini ndai kuri kuti ndine makare ekutonga. Ndai kuti simudza wakomana kuti ngatipinde muZimbabwe titore nyika. Ndotomboita president. But hazvisizvo. Ndosaka muri kuona Zimbabwe kutadza kufamba nhasi. Handitese tine chipo chekutungamirira damapresident. VaMnangagwa hachisi chipo chavo ichi. VaChiwenga hachisi chipo chavo. Nyika iri stagnant. But dai yanga ine munhu muridzi wekutonga kana ane zodzo. Ane zodzo rekutonga. Haiwa maiona zvinhu zvichifamba zvichierera zvichiitika zvega. Ndiriora. Tosangana mangwana. Good night.